My name's Guy Kestevan. I've been a professional bike and kit tester for nearly 25 years. And this is the Trek Top Fuel 8. A bike that's absolutely brilliant at a whole load of things, apart from the thing it's supposed to be brilliant at. Want to find out what I'm on about? Let's go riding. And what I mean by that is that Trek have always categorised the Top Fuel as their XC race bike. And they still do. That's where you'll find it if you look on the website. And at 120mm with a SID fork in it, you know, you'd be forgiven for thinking that's what it's all about. But this bike weighs nearly 14.5 kilos. So if you wanted to go racing on a Trek, go check out the Super Caliber, the 60mm travel Softail, because for the same money, that bike weighs under 12.5 kilos. So you definitely know where the acceleration and the climbing prowess is. But the other obstacle is that, and while actually pretty stable when you're pedaling smoothly sat down, if you're standing up and giving it some, you're definitely going to want to have it in one of the higher compression settings, or maybe even flick that hard lockout lever fully across. So really isn't a race bike. And while Trek have worked hard to give this Top Fuel frame a lot of the same advantages as the carbon one, so you've got that one-piece rocker link, and the Deluxe Ultimate shock is now the right way up, and it's trunnion mounted, so it's on bearings, so it's all super stiff and smooth. I can't send it, I'm going in blind. Might be a dog walker because this is the weekend. Oh, it's actually sketchy and not sending it. Where was I? And it's, you know, it's really stiff. You know, it tracks phenomenally well. And I'm going to talk more about suspension in a minute. Things like the internal storage, although it's great that it's got it, you know, and I know from talking to him about the slash frame, it was really, really hard getting it onto the alloy bikes. It clearly adds a lot of weight. And to be honest, it's a bit tight. Kind of only works if you've got a space saver inner tube in there. Definitely not going to get a jumbo sausage roll in there. And while it does have a bottle cage inside the main frame, even on this medium large, you're gonna, you know, it's a bit of a squeeze with a medium bottle. You're certainly not gonna get a large bottle in there, which again, not ideal for a cross-country or marathon bike. And also with the plastic gutter around it, again, adds more weight. So you've got a frame that ends up weighing 3.7 kilos, and because it's quite a complex build, it's expensive too. So separately, the frame costs 2,350 quid, which is, you know, £1,000 less than the carbon frame, but still a lot of cash for an alloy frame, especially one that's heavy. And that means, you know, the spec kind of suffers accordingly. So while you've got an XC rear mech, you've only got an SLX crank and Dior brakes, and the SID fork you get has the basic rush damper. It's not the more expensive motion control in the Select. So why am I now going to tell you that I absolutely love this bike, and I can see why it's got so many rave reviews from other people who've tested it. And the basic reason for that is it's a perfect example of a bike that proves you don't need to have a ton of travel to have an absolute scream on it. And I've already talked about how tight and well the frame tracks, even with this SID up front, but the geometry is really good too. So 66-degree head in the slack mode, because you can change the angles by 0.4 of a degree. Sorry, I had to stop to chat to test dog and a mum. And then you've got 76.4 or 76-degree seat angle, so nice and steep for climbing poise. And then a 465, 469 reach on this medium large, or 480, 484 on the large. And that medium large size is really, really good, because Trek do more sizes than most people as well. Although to be fair, they only do one back end, so chainstays definitely work best in the kind of medium size range. To give them their due, whoever spec'd this bike at Trek has kind of, you know, played to its strengths. They haven't tried to pretend it's a super light race bike. So you've got 45mm long stem, you've got 780mm bars, those Dior brakes, a 4-piston, so even though you only got a little 160mm rotor at the rear, you still got decent amount of stopping power on hand. And as long as you keep an eye on the brake rotors and brake pads wearing out pretty quick, actually decently controlled. Brake is Dior and super reliable, which you can't say about top end Shimano. And the XR4 tyres, they used to be some of my fathers, still are, a really, really good trail tyre. I mean, there was a phase that were made by Maxxis when they were particularly good, but even now, they're not too, you know, they're not super fast, but they're not that slow either. And they're grippy in all sorts of conditions. They kind of suit the character of this bike perfectly. And as you can see, I mean, obviously that wasn't a major technical climb, but certainly no drama with it rolling up and over rocky stuff. And while it's only been a local play in the woods for this film, I think you've seen it's taken some pretty technical, slippery, sketchy, stoppy-starty stuff totally in its stride, and that's exactly how it's been when I've done power hours at Stainburn on it as well. It's just super capable. It all works together really, really well. It's just a properly enabling, no, enabling sounds boring and flaccid and placid. It's a proper fun little popper, especially in this compact size. It just loves sliding and switching and just making the most of every bit of trail. And with that super supple mid-stroke on the rear shock and limited breakaway thanks to that trunnion mount, and that 2.4 XR4 on the back with plenty of knobs on it, you are getting a really good technical climbing bike. And the 76-degree seat angle puts you in a really good position in terms of balancing traction as well. And again, just shorter stroke means less bouncing around, and the 66-degree head angle doesn't wander either. And again, that traction and that seated poise making surprisingly short work of awkward little steep climbs. So if you're into the techie side of XC, you're gonna bloody love this Top Fuel. You know, well, that's what it's brilliant at, and that's what the reviews have rightly said. So, end of the day, does it really matter how you categorise it or what its stats are, when fundamentally it rides really, really well and it's a huge amount of fun? I don't think so. But as much as it's fun on the twisty, techie, Singletrack stuff, that's where this ultimate damper and that super controlled rear end really come into their own. I mean, for a short travel bike, the ability for this to pound down stuff and, oh, hello, typical, just about to say, keep control, is amazing. But that rush damper in the front, definitely reaching its limit down there. Started pummeling my palms through that one. But that back end, well, that'll drive through rock fields for days. Spoiler alert, I may have had the lockout on the fork. So yeah, sorry about that, Sid. That's probably why you're a little bit clunky down there. But hey, it shows I notice these things. This Trek just feels a whole lot better than a lot of mid-travel bikes in terms of control. And just, you know, at a time when increasingly longer travel bikes are so good, so competent, that they're actually pretty boring. This is still really sparky, fun, alive, rewarding, involving. All those really good words to throw about a bike review. And I have to say, it might not make sense on trade paper, but on the trail, this Top Fuel 8 is an absolute belter. So there you go. It's heavy, it's quite expensive, and even all its practical features don't play out quite as well as they should do. But at the end of the day, this Trek Top Fuel 8 is still a brilliant, fun, lively, entertaining, involving, addictively agile little trail ripper. So I don't know, maybe just throw the numbers away and just get on with enjoying life and enjoying this bike. And yeah, if you've enjoyed watching this video, then it'd be great if you could sponsor me on Patreon, like the folks' names who are scrolling up here. They get exclusive, extended, early and ad-free edits as a thank you. And massive thanks to Giro Cycling for supporting the channel with Crud and with Petey's products. And thanks to you guys for watching as well. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you have, subscribe if you haven't already, and click for notifications so you know when the next video is coming up from me on bikes or kit or just, you know, mountain biking in general. And I'll do a tech talk around on the bike as well so you can see the features up close and clearly. But for now, I've been Guy Kesteven on Guy Kest TV talking about Trek's Top Fuel 8. Don't just judge it by the numbers.